Yo, what's good with your BC? How you feeling, baby?
Doing good, G Mike. How about yourself, man?
Feeling good, living great, man. Saturday morning, you already know Saturday for the boys. We're getting on and popping today, and the views from the stands. We got a jam-packed episode. Sucks that Steve's not gonna be here, but he got some stuff going on. So
Don't hold it down.
hopefully he'll be back next week with us.
Yep.
Before we get into it, man, guys, if you could please like, subscribe, and share the show with your family, friends, and even the strangers you walking down the street. Um, Pass by them, send them link. Yo, let me get your telephone number right quick. Let me send you this dope ass show. Let me send you this link right here. Yo, view it, subscribe to it, like it, and then share it with your other friends. Will be greatly appreciated. We really appreciate the love and support here. So we're gonna get into some NBA talk, some NBA draft drama that's been going on. Some players signing some contracts. We're gonna get into some MLB we haven't talked on in a little bit. There's gonna be Brandon right there, and then we're gonna have a down bad debate for sure. And if you guys are into sports gambling, I run a Telegram channel where we offer gambling slips, sports gambling slips, daily, $10 a month to get you anywhere from 25 to 50 to $100 winnings a day. You'll see the link pop up in the chat if you're watching the live episode. If you're watching the recorded episode, you'll see it pop up on your screen along with my social media accounts. You can send me a DM. We'll get a conversation going on how you can get started with us and start making money, baby. BC, let them know what you got going on, brother.
We got a double whammy for you right here. Y'all already know the missus and I got our little small business. We got Brandis.media. We got your event and wedding and engagement and family formal photography, videography in Central Florida, or we go abroad too. If you're willing to kind of get a little bit of that extra cheddar right there, you need to get a little prime photography little session right there. We'll go ahead and come out to you guys, even if it's outside the state of Florida, this beautiful state right here. But we got you guys covered. We'll make sure we're Central Florida's premier photography videography couple right here. We create memories that last a lifetime at brandes.media. And also too, got the website now like live, locked and loaded. It's bcthebrand.com. Got all my camera work stuff, got all of my announcing, voice work. So, if you guys want to check that out, kind of check out the journey, what it's been like. And then also, too, if you or anybody you know is looking for somebody that's got a voice, if you need a project, you need voiceover work, you need voice acting, you need commercials, you need really anything at all, just hit me up there. Again, bcthebrand.com. That's where I got all of my portfolio there. Just check it out, see if what you want.
Yeah, check it out. He got some good stuff on there. Definitely got some great photos, some great videos, some great footage when it comes to events, weddings, and stuff like that. So please check it out. Check out his website.
Appreciate it.
Another two sponsors that we want to shout out are one is Varsity Sports. We appreciate them for putting our show on their application. You can find their app on the Apple Store, Android Store, or even Roku TV. If you got that Fire Stick, you got that Roku. You can find Varsity Sports Nation app on there. They have exclusive content when it comes to high school sports, college sports, and pro sports when it comes to talk shows just like this one. So you can go on there, you can watch us on there, you can listen to us on there, and other shows that they got going on. And another sponsor that we want to get a shout out to is millions.co. Millions is another website where a lot of people are doing sports interviews, mainly when it comes to UFC, but they do have basketball, football, baseball, and other big-time sports around the nation or even across the globe. You can find our show on there as well, and they have exclusive interviews with big-time athletes that don't really get put on ESPN, Fox Sports, CBS Sports. It's more of the low-key side of things. So if you want to hear more about their story and their things going on, you could go to millions.co and check out the interviews there and even our show. We appreciate you, Riley, for coming here for what you do daily. Thank you very much. Thank you for appreciating us, supporting us, and sharing the show with your family and friends and giving us a like. We appreciate you. But let's jump into this, man. And the first thing I wanted to talk to you about, Steve, is the news that just came out yesterday. Naz Reid of the Minnesota Timberwolves, Sixth Man of the Year, back in, when was it, 2023, 2024, Sixth Man of the Year. He intends to sign 5 years, $125 million deal to stay with the Timberwolves. It's a big time deal for the Timberwolves and himself for sure. You know, that's a lot of money, 25 million each year for the next 5 years. Which includes a player option of the 2029-2030 season. Last season, just to give us some stats on what he did last season, he dropped 14 points per game, grabbed 6 rebounds per game, and dished out 2 assists per game while shooting 46 from the field and 38% from three, 78% from the free throw line, and all of this was coming off the bench. With all
Yep.
that being said, BC, do you think this is a good move for him and his team and the Minnesota Timberwolves, or it's more of a bad move on their parts?
It's a lot to commit for a bench player. I will say that. You know, you're averaging 5 years, 125 over the course of that span. That's about 25 mil a season. So that's a lot to commit to a guy. But again, he is one of the premier, if not the premier bench players in the league for sure. And again, like you said, you're rattling off the stats right there. He's only one of 3 players to score 2,000 points off the bench for the past 3 seasons. So that's not just a one-hit wonder really with Naz Reid. It's consistency, and he brings an added value, brings that punch off the bench that Minnesota, I think, definitely needs, especially at his position. Obviously, you got a lot of more big, slow-footed players around the post. Rudy Gobert, Julius Randle. So Nas coming off definitely kind of adds a little bit of that juice that you kind of need. So it's a lot to commit to a guy. Again, he is one of the best bench players in the league. So I could see it where you're paying a premium for one of the best. So I can't really fault Minnesota too much for going after it. And again, he's one of only three like bigs, in the league to average 5.8 3-pointers a game and above. And again, that's off the bench. So that I think that what he provides is so invaluable, and what it brings for this team, especially as well, with those slower footed bigs, it just adds another dimension that is very much needed. I think it's a smart pick or it's a smart decision for Minnesota.
Yeah, I think it's a good move for Minnesota as well. The only thing I want to push back a little bit, I think he needs to be more consistent to make this deal like really worth it on both sides.
Yeah.
He is an undrafted player, so each and every year he's going to be proving himself to try to do something. He's gonna want to work. He's gonna want to do what he needs to do to become better each either each day in and day out, each game in and game out, or each year. He's always going to want to do better. And especially in a team that Minnesota has never really been to the NBA Finals. They're
Mhm.
probably trying to get there together as a collective unit. Him, Anthony Edwards, Mike Conley, Rudy Gobert, and the list goes on and on for that team that really want to prove themselves and really do something that has never really been done for Minnesota when it comes to NBA basketball. Like they really had a good playoffs this past season. They ended up facing the OKC Thunder, which they ended up winning the whole thing. So losing to the team that actually wins the NBA Finals is not nothing to knock off, but
Mhm.
definitely you don't want to be losing to anybody. So I think it's a good move for them. I think he brings a spark off the bench, with tenacity, with his 3-point shooting, with his rebounding. The only thing is, like I said, when it comes to the playoffs, I think he needs to be more consistent. Yeah, throughout the regular
Mhm.
season, he does really well, which is why he won Six Man of the Year a few years back. He could definitely do it again. But when it comes to the playoffs, he'll have one good game. The next game or the next 2 games, they're on below average. And you can't really be having that in the playoffs if you're trying to get to the NBA finals. Like
Yeah.
the bench players need to do what they need to do, and they need to show up, especially at home. At home is where you expect them to really rise above um the allegations of like, oh, you can't really do much, you're not that much of a consistent player. You got the home crowd behind you. A little bit of pressure has been taken off your shoulders. You really need to show out at home. So I do expect role players and even Nas Reid in this sense, when it comes to home games in the playoffs, like you need to be dropping 15 or more points. When it comes to like you're a player that gets to hit threes and actually score off the bench, your primary focus when you come off the bench is just to score the rock and play defense.
Yep.
So, I need more consistency from him. But when it comes to the deal itself, I think it's a good deal. The way that the
Yeah.
NBA is getting paid now with all the TV money and everything, I feel like players are getting anywhere from $50 to $60 million a year. So a player that it has won Six-Man of the Year and it does a lot of work for the Minnesota Timberwolves, I think 25 million a year is pretty good. It's just
Yeah.
the only thing for me is he needs to be more consistent in the playoffs.
Yeah, and I will say though too, going into next season, obviously you've got Julius Randle's on a player option. He's set to make 31 about $31 million. So could, if he potentially takes that player option, do we see maybe Minnesota want to trade him, get rid of that contract, maybe take a cheaper deal for somebody, or even maybe try to get a more impact player at a different position like point guard or wing? And then do we maybe see Naz Reid shift from the bench to maybe add him to the starting lineup? Again, he spreads the floor really, really well, even for his size. And then you've got Rudy Gobert down low. That could honestly open up a lot of things offensively for Minnesota. And again, obviously, you got to worry about the defense with Naz, but I think that it would be interesting to kind of see giving him those starters minutes. He's already averaging about 27 and a half, 28 minutes a game. Why not just, if you
Yeah.
make him the starter, I think that's a very affordable contract that you're giving out. And for a guy that can be an impact player in the starting lineup, I think that would be rather interesting, kind of a win, maybe a win-win. You get rid of a big contract and albatross in Randall, and then you get a guy that fits really well in with your roster along with Nas. That might be too tempting to pass up.
I see what you're saying, and it's not a horrible idea. I just personally don't like it because of the way that the NBA is now. Now
Yeah.
you need 7, 8, 9 guys to get you to the promised land, right?
Yeah.
And if we're primarily focused on moving Nas to the starting five, now who do you really have in the 6th spot, 7th spot, 8th spot to really help you out when it comes to the second unit? I feel
Yeah.
like if you have 2 units, and you know this very well when it comes to the Orlando Magic, if you have 2 units that can correlate together, and obviously 1 through 5 is going to be better than 6 through 8 or 6 through 9, they're going to actually do work when it comes to scoring, play good defense, facilitate the ball all together, and playing more collectively as a unit. But if you got 2 units that try to play as well as the other unit and they compete with each other in practice, in any time that they need to do scrimmages or whatever the case may be, you got 2 units that can primarily do good work for you on the basketball court. I think it's better than trying to, oh, you know what? Let's get rid of this guy because he's going to get paid too much. Bring up this guy because he's getting paid pretty good and he's showing that he is promised that he can be a starter, but then we don't really have anybody in the back end in the second unit to really do work. So in my opinion, I think it's better for them to have 6, 7, 8 players that can do work for everybody than just to have 5 players and one dude coming off the bench that you expect him to drop 30 points per game when that's, damn well that's not going to happen.
Yeah. Very true.
Yeah.
Good point.
Yeah. Dot, what's good, man? Yes, sir. Early morning grind. You already know. After this, gonna hit the gym. After that,
Yep.
maybe stream on Call of Duty, baby. Maybe stream on
That's
Call of Duty.
good.
But we appreciate you tuning in, my guy. So next thing I wanted to talk about with you is another thing
Yeah.
that's going on in the NBA. So on Wednesday's NBA draft, one of the top prospects, Ace Bailey out of Rutgers, amazing ball player. If you guys have not seen his skills, uh, great scorer, can get to the rim just as much as best as anybody. Um, he was just a great prospect in the NBA draft, right?
Yep.
There was some controversy going on with him that he was trying to choose exactly where he wanted to go and what teams he did not want to play for. He did not want to get selected by anybody in the top 5 when it comes to the NBA draft, but unfortunately, he did. He
Yeah.
got drafted by the Utah Jazz, and there's some controversy going on because with him, he did not report to Utah yet.
Yep.
There's reports being said that he's gonna show up today to Utah. A lot of front office representatives from Utah were saying that they gave their draft picks the ability to go home, spend time with their family and friends before they have to show up for pre-training camp. I don't know what it's called. You could correct me on that, BC.
Yeah.
But it's like just for the rookies and the
Yeah. Rookie mini camps.
yeah, for the sophomores as well. which start on Monday, but supposedly they're supposed to show up today for Saturday for the Utah Jazz. There was controversy that his agent said that his agent was asked what's Ace Bailey's future in Utah. He didn't answer. He didn't give no answer on what his future could be. There's a lot of controversy, a lot of rumors going around that Ace Bailey may not even report to the Utah Jazz. He doesn't want to play for them. So there's a lot of controversy going around here with Ace Bailey and what team he wanted to play for his to start off his NBA career. The Utah Jazz was not one of them. He did get selected by them with the 5th overall pick. So now we're waiting on to see if he's going to show up for the Utah Jazz for their rookie minicamp. And I just wanted to, before you give your thoughts on this, I just wanted to put out this quote here by their representatives in the front office. And quote, "We've had good conversation with H. Bailey and his representatives." The Jazz representatives told ESPN on Friday. "We feel good about everything. Ace and his family are coming to Utah tomorrow. We have a press conference Sunday and practice Monday. This has always been the plan, including our other rookies, Walter Clayton and John Torrey, to let them go home and collect their belongings and then fly right to Summer League for Salt Lake City." With this whole situation, BC, how do you feel about the situation from draft night, pre-draft, draft night, and then up until now that supposedly he's going to show up today?
I'm a little disappointed. I thought for sure we'd get a Bo Jackson kind of holdout right here. You know, like draft me. I'm not going to be coming back to the league at all or anything like that. Maybe even try to go back, try to fight his way back to college or something like that. But I mean, it is interesting. Most players in this position would love to be top 5. Most players are fighting to be that top 5 pick because that's where typically you're going to be trusted with the most responsibility. You're going to be trusted with the most opportunity, perhaps a chance to get that big second contract. But yeah, I mean, I will say this: Utah has not really been much of a franchise to be proud of, to be a part of since I want to say even the '90s, and even then some of the repercussions from one player in particular from that squad in the '90s. It's kind of like it's a little bit of a not poverty franchise, but it's not exactly one that you're knocking down the door to get behind. I still don't know necessarily about, I think that it is interesting as well that, again, for someone that made so much fuss about not going to Utah, I don't want to be part of Utah at all. And now it just seems like kind of he's balking at that now, like just a couple days after. It seems pretty indicative of what a lot of players in these positions, like when you have this player empowerment, try to do is, it's a lot of just smoke and mirrors. They're just trying to maybe negotiate, trying to get their way. And Utah called their bluff on it, and now Bailey's supposedly reporting to camp. It is rather interesting the fact that you have him juxtaposed with a later pick in the first round by Utah, Walter Clayton. Dude was so happy. Dude was excited to be drafted. Like, even if it's not necessarily the best fit for him, I think, and you and I both, have our opinions on that. Our teams being the better fit for Walter Clayton. But he was just still so happy to be selected. He was happy to be picked that high. When he was honestly, a lot of people earlier on in the draft process were having him slotted for the second round. So he's just happy to be there. So it's just an interesting dynamic that you have right there in this draft class alone with Utah.
Yeah, man. Dude, I don't like it at all. The whole pre-draft stuff of like, oh, I'm trying to choose where I want to go. I want to be selected to a team that's gonna help my NBA career when it comes to winning and trying to get to stardom, which I understand, man. But at the end of the day, bro, you gotta,
Of the day.
bro. And BC, I'm trying hard not to be cursing on the podcast. But sometimes, man, like stuff like this really pisses me off, bro, because it's like the sense of entitlement that people have nowadays is just like it's weird. It's weird energy, man. It's like, dude, there's people out there like the dude that got selected by the 76ers, VJ.
Yep.
If you didn't hear his story, this guy didn't have electricity for 7 years. Yep. He barely ate hot meals. Most of his meals were cold because of his mom that had to work so damn long and barely get to see her own kids. And it's just like, bro, the sense of entitlement that a lot of these players have. And Ace Bailey's not the only one. the dude that got selected out of the Gamecocks to the Toronto Raptors. If you
Oh
guys
yeah,
didn't see when he got
Connor
selected,
was.
and he got his number called. Every single time a player gets selected, then they're in the green room. The camera goes to the player to show the reaction. Right? This dude got up, said, "Damn," shook his head after he got selected by the Toronto Raptors. Like, bro, are you serious, dog? Like, you guys are getting selected by these top organizations that bring out top money right now. Rookie
Yep.
contracts, if you're selected in the top 10, are probably anywhere from like 30 million to 50 million, dog, depending on what team you go to and what they want to give you and the incentives that they want to give you. But you gotta feel appreciated of the opportunity that you're getting. There's like literally in the US alone, the bottom 3% actually make it into professional athletics. Like, you gotta be freaking grateful for this opportunity, man. And just in the Ace Bailey a prospect, like, bro, like, I get it, you want to go to a certain team, but it doesn't happen. So just be happy with where you get selected. Top 5. People kill for that. You get selected to Utah. Yes, they're not an organization. Their fans are not like very like popular when it comes to around the league. There's a lot of racism over there too that we've seen with NBA players on how they get treated during games and stuff. Particularly Russell Westbrook in the last 5 years has been so much with him in Utah. But dude, like, make the best out of it, bro. Like,
Yep.
dude, and if it's your people around you, your agent, your friends and loved ones around you that are saying, "Yo, don't even go and work out for any team, bro. Save yourself, save your body. Just chill, relax. You're gonna get selected in the top 5 no matter what." Yo, don't listen to those people, bro. It's terrible advice. You need to prove yourself day in and day out. Look at LeBron James. This guy's 40 years old and he's still practicing every single day, like if he
Yep.
just got selected to get in the league.
Yep.
Like, these players need to keep showing that they're grateful for this opportunity, bro, instead of feeling entitled, man. And I really do hope that he shows up today for Utah, man, because I feel like if he doesn't show up for Utah today, yeah, he's gonna get more chances. I don't think they'll just kick him to the curb, but I feel like it's just gonna be a bad mark on his start of his career that I feel like
Yeah.
it can lead to, you know what? You're not appreciative of your opportunity. We don't want you on any other team. The owners are gonna come together and be like, yo, don't sign this guy for the team. We need to make a statement for future draft picks and be like, yo, don't be like this guy. Next thing you know, you're getting kicked to the curb playing overseas with Wantara Mayo y Fabio over there in freaking Spain, bro. So
Yep.
be grateful for the opportunity, bro. Show up today for the Utah Jazz and show them that you can be a player that's going to lead them to winnings because they really need that.
Yeah. I agree. You hit the nail right on the head there. And that's, again, I'm all for player empowerment. I'm all for players getting, the ability to make their own decisions and stuff like that, like in free agency or even sometimes like with trades. But it's draft night. You are the youngest group in the league. You don't really get to have a say in where you go like that. Sorry, you got to earn that right. You have to earn the privilege of being able to dictate your terms, not just making it through, not just getting drafted, but also making it through that first contract and then having teams being good enough to where teams are willing to knock down your door and say, "Hey, we want you." And then if you want to be able to pick and choose who signs you, you have to be elite enough to where you can field multiple offers. But until you've earned that right, you don't have a say. Sorry.
It's ridiculous, man. It's
Yeah.
ridiculous. So, do you think he shows up today for Utah?
I think he does. I don't think this is, I don't think he has quite the will of a Bo Jackson, legendary athlete to pull that off. And also too, he's a younger kid. I think it's all bluff. It's all smoke and mirrors. And I think Utah's calling him on it, and I think he's gonna show up. Especially seeing how the reaction I think Walter Clayton going to them too, I think helps Utah in more ways than one. Because again, you're seeing Ace Bailey, or if you're Ace Bailey, you're seeing this guy really grateful, and you're like, dang, what am I doing? So I think he shows up begrudgingly, but I think it's not out of the goodness of his heart. I think it's because he's going to try to save his image and again, now who his teammate is coming out of Florida. So
Yeah, I think he does show up, but then again, bro, I was man. With my mentality, I thought players would be ecstatic and grateful to wherever they go. But
yep,
I was wrong in that department. So like I could be wrong here. What if he doesn't really show up? What if he says,
yep,
"Yo, forget you guys, trade me to
yep,
a team that wants that I want to be around and that wants me?" Because I do believe that there's teams out there that will trade for him, 100,
yeah,
percent and
oh yeah,
they'll try to change that attitude, which I hope it happens. But other than that, man, I just hope he shows up for Utah. Yeah, it sucks, man. I wouldn't want to live in Utah, to be honest, for sure. But if you're telling me, yo, I'm getting selected at number 5 by Utah, I'm gonna be like, hey, I'm out there, bro. I'm gonna learn how to freaking ski. I'm gonna learn how to live in the mountains. I'm gonna learn how to live in the cold. I'm a Florida
yep.
boy, so all I want is the warm weather for sure.
Yeah,
But
just ask
forget
Walter
that,
Clayton
man.
that.
Hey, I'm adjusting and I'm adapting.
That's Walter Clayton right there, man. That's going to be him, and I know for sure that fan base is going to love him because that's who he is as a person.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's a lot of entitlement we're going to be covering on this episode of Views from the Stands. Maybe helping set some expectations, not just for athletes, but also maybe the fans here in a little bit, a little teaser for later.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Hopefully he does show up, bro. But just to
Yeah,
move on, the last thing with the NBA,
yeah,
so obviously the draft just passed. Both our teams got some players that we like, but I know you wanted to talk about what you really want to see from the Orlando Magic from here on out
yep,
because they didn't select a center and
yeah,
you were hoping that they would select a center. They
yeah.
did not. So I want you to tell the fans exactly what you want the Orlando Magic to do from this offseason to the first game of the regular season.
Well, what I want, and then what I also think what I could see them doing. Again, it's kind of a wild card here because again, they addressed a big need. Getting Desmond Bain was huge. Getting perimeter shooting, getting a secondary playmaker, and a guy that doesn't sacrifice a lot of defense to be here. That was great.
Hmm.
Obviously, losing Cole Anthony, you needed to get that spark plug off the bench that is going to be able to put up points, also be very efficient while doing so like from every level of the floor, and then also somebody who doesn't turn the ball over. Those were big struggles of Cole while he was here. Not knocking the guy, just calling it like it is. And they did that with Jace Richardson. Pretty much, he was the best guy I think we could have gotten with that pick at the time. Obviously, I was going for Clayton, but Jace again, he's all from what I've seen seems to be really bought into the Magic. So far 2 for 2. The second round pick was very interesting. I thought for sure with all those guys, all those centers on the board, Maxime Renaud, Ryan Kalkbrenner, I thought for sure like the move up would have been to get one of those guys, especially when Rasheer Fleming came off the board. They surprised me a little bit getting Noah Penda from France. More of a 6.5 foot wing, very versatile, kind of does a lot of what Jonathan Isaac does. Um, I believe he didn't struggle with injuries as much, so I think maybe if I'm reading the tea leaves a little bit, I could see the reason why they drafted Penda was so that maybe they find a way to trade Isaac. I love JI, but I know that as well. Like he's making, 50. He was making 25 million last year. His contract, I think, now dictates he's making 15.
Hmm.
I'm thinking maybe they try to package him along with another player, maybe a Wendell Carter Jr., maybe a Goga Batadze, maybe both. And I think what they might do with that then is they've got their Cole Anthony replacement, they've got their JI replacement. Now I think they make a move to where they package a couple of those guys together, maybe another young player like a Caleb Houston or a Jet Howard, and maybe another second round pick, and you try to go after a center in this league, somebody that can stretch the floor, but is also a good rim protector as well. And I've seen a lot of people talking about, the things that Dell does with switchability and stuff. And that's good. Find a center that can do that. But I still think that there needs to be an upgrade at the center position moving forward. Just, I'm not going to knock anybody or whatever, but I think that if you can package Dell's contract, which he's making about 13 mil, which is a good discount, he's going to make an extension. He's got an extension coming up. But if you can package his deal along with Jonathan Isaac, that's 15 mil, so that's 28 million combined. You can still probably find a decent center that can do those things for you and can help solidify the starting lineup. He doesn't have to be an all-star, but if you can have a center that is going to be able to protect the rim, can be a decent switcher, and can spread the floor in offense, you've won the offseason. So I think honestly that's the move they go with. They seem to be a lot more aggressive and not just trying to stand pat if somebody's not working out. Like KCP only got one season and he definitely underperformed last year. They packaged him with Cole, who was struggling too, and look at where they're at now. So I kind of see a little similar thing with JI, who when he's on the floor, he has potential to be defensive player of the year, but he struggled with injury. This is like the healthiest year we've got from him. And then Dell, who had an off season last year or a down season last year, I think that they find a way to kind of salvage those two. And again, it's going to probably take some picks as well, maybe another player, but I think that that's the direction they go with to really solidify the starting lineup. Because the bench after that, you get a starting center to go with the core four, and then you've got a bench that's Anthony Black, Jace Richardson, De Silva, Penda, and then Mo Wagner. You've got 10 deep already. You can probably bring up either a couple of mid-level exceptions or even a couple of G League players on two-way contracts, and you're set.
So what I think that the Magic are trying to do, and you
Mhm.
could give me your thoughts on it
Yeah.
after, but what I think that they're trying to do is they're gonna wait on Wagner to come back. They're gonna put
Mhm.
him at the five in the starting unit. They're gonna put Dell off of the bench to come off the bench, try
Mhm.
to shoot some 3 pointers, try to grab some boards. You give him less minutes, that he's gonna play even tougher and give more effort in those less minutes. I think it will be good for him. But I think
Mhm.
that's a direction that the Magic are going to go to, which is why they didn't select anybody at the center position during the draft, which is why they
Mhm.
haven't traded for anybody yet. Obviously, it could happen from here and on, and even until the NBA trade deadline in the middle of the season. But my thing is, I think they wait for Wagner to come back, start him
Mhm.
at the five with his brother Paulo and the other rest of those guys, and then have Dell coming off the bench, playing less minutes but playing more with more effort and intensity in that
Yeah.
second.
Yeah, and Dell def or not Dell, and Mo definitely does bring that intensity for sure. Like he is very much a spark plug. Basically, he's a spark plug at the post position or at the big position. So he only played 18 minutes a game last year. So if you do like the per 36 numbers, like he gets close to about a block a game, gets close to about like two steals a game. So he definitely does bring some defense. Now, I will say he does need to work on his ability to switch. That's the one thing I think that kind of holds him back. He's not an elite rim protector. He's not as versatile defender as Dell, but if he can figure that part out, like training and working on his maybe his lateral quickness, his mobility, I think that he's earned the right to be the starter at center because before he was injured, he was averaging 12 points a game in 18 minutes, 13 points a game rather, 18 minutes a game.
How many
That's
boards?
somebody he was averaging about 5 boards a game. So again, multiply that over the course of 36 minutes a game. He's getting about a
Double double.
20 point double double, and then he's shooting 56 from the floor and then 36% from three. That is elite offensive number. So if he finds a way to really solidify himself on the defensive end, like his brother Franz has, because Franz coming out of college was mostly known for his offense, but now he's learned to adapt to be a part of the defense. He'd be a perfect fit for the Magic starting five. And I would honestly love
Oh, and you
seeing,
have a great coach for that too when it comes to
yeah,
the defensive side of the ball. So I'm not even worried there for
yeah.
that.
So I could see them also doing that. And Dell, honestly, if he's playing less minutes, might help give him more longevity moving forward. And again, if they decide to package him and Isaac together, maybe they use that to get, maybe some more picks. They could even use them to get some more picks. Honestly, that wouldn't be a bad thing either. Maybe getting some more depth next year's draft, maybe replenishing some of that stock that they lost from the trade deadline this year. And if you were able to keep Mo, sign him on a cheap, what I'm thinking as well is the Magic might decline Mo's option, his team option, and then re-sign him to a prove it deal. You only are paying him then like maybe $8-9 million a year, and then you also are paying Goga Batadze that same deal. Maybe bring him off the bench instead. If you're able to deal Dell and Ji, you're saving about $20 million then a year because those two make 28 8 mil. It honestly would work out, I think, really well where you can give yourself some cap space moving forward. So if Mo does prove himself, you can resign him to a good deal. I would not be opposed to that in any way. So I think he's earned it. You know, Dell's
Yeah,
been Dell's been given like 5 years of being a starter, and he's done well for a while, but he's kind of been his trajectory is kind of going down. Mo has been kind of
I go to
doing
the
the
second
opposite.
unit. Yep.
Yeah, Mo's trajectory has been going up. So I say this is kind of the year where you give Dell the first half of the season to prove that he's a starter, prove that he belongs in this rotation, and if he doesn't, when Mo comes back, you give Mo that opportunity. Why not?
Yeah. No, I like moving Wagner to the 5, put Dell on the bench, come off the second unit, give him less minutes with more
Mhm.
effort and more intensity. I think
Yeah,
that would be good for you guys.
yeah, and you've got 4 years as well of this core four to figure it out. So if it doesn't work this year, there's next year, and there's gonna be some draft picks they could always draft in the next round anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's talk about my Miami Heat here.
Yes.
We kind of touched on the last episode with the draft pick that we got at number 20 with butcher his name here, but it is what it is. We're gonna call him KJ from now on, but I'm gonna try and say
KJ.
Kasparas Jacunius.
Just call him Casper. Casper the Friendly Ghost.
Casper or KG, whatever. I like them both. I like them both.
Yeah,
He's a
KJ.
6'6", 205-pound guard that can facilitate, that can score 15 points per game in college. So in the NBA, maybe he'll get 8 to 10 points per game. We do need a little bit more scoring out of him for sure. But if we got a
Yeah,
big guard that can facilitate, is great off the bench. I think we should start off with Davon Mitchell coming off. Him being the preliminary point guard. Run Tyler Hero at the 2, Andrew Wiggins as a 3, at the 4, Bam, and then 5, Kel Ware. Have KJ coming off the bench being another facilitating point guard for us. I think that would be good. Get him on and going since the beginning. Do not wait to the middle of the season like we did with Kel Ware. That's one thing that I would speak to Spoelstra about and be like, yo, do not wait. Just plug these guys in, let them show what they need to show, and see if they really got it. And I feel like I feel like this kid does. He got grit. Him playing at Illinois, he's a Big Ten conference guy. So a lot of intensity play there, a lot of not backing down, a lot of physicality when it comes to that play. So I think he will be good for the NBA. And then when it comes to, we didn't have another draft pick, but we did sign an undrafted free agent with Vlad Gudin,
yeah,
Russian player out of Michigan, a 7'1" center, 260 pounds. He's a great rebounder. He has great post moves. Like we don't really have a post move player like that. Yeah, Bam does play post a little bit, but Kel Ware, he's more of an alley oop type player, shoot the three ball,
yeah,
running up and down the floor, a hustle player. So if we get Vlad coming off the bench and we run our half court offense, he can be a player that can be kind of like Jokic, but
yeah,
obviously not as great as Jokic. But he can play with his back to the basket. He can pass the ball. He can shoot a little post fade, or if not, get to the rim, either dunk it or lay it up. And
yeah,
he could grab boards for us. So I think
yeah,
our draft was pretty good. I would say like a B plus, A minus in that area.
yeah,
Um, I'm pretty excited for those two players. I don't think they're going to be the needle mover. I think we still we're not gonna be in like Eastern Conference Finals contention. Maybe round one. Hopefully not playing. Hopefully we could get to like the fifth or sixth spot, so we don't have to do the playing no more. But I do like our two draft picks. I think they can help us out. Now we just need a little bit more from I would say Bam on the offensive side. Instead of being passive aggressive, I need him to be more aggressive. We
yeah,
need now we're gonna have a full off season where Andrew Wiggins, if he doesn't get traded, so it will be good for him to show his skills as the one or two primarily ball handler and scorer when it comes to him and Tyler Hero. Because sometimes Tyler likes to play the two man, and sometimes he likes to play the one guard. So
yeah,
we got to see how they work together this offseason and try to go a full season with them having created this chemistry. Hopefully, Andrew Wiggins will put up 20 points per game. We got Hero putting 25 points per game. We got Bam putting 20 points per game. And then the rest of the players, either 5 to 10 points per game that could help us out to try to avoid the play in, get into the round one as a fifth or sixth seed or even fourth seed, hopefully. And try to do work in an Eastern Conference that, yeah, it's wide open, but there are a lot of good teams. Cleveland, Orlando, Boston is still good. Indiana, yeah, they're not gonna have Tyrese. He's gonna be out, but they're still a good, well-oiled machine together. They do need a facilitating guard to help put that into perspective and put that all together. but they're still a good team. New York, Atlanta has come up with that trade with Christoph Porzingis. He's going to be another good asset there for Trey Young. So I think, yeah, the East is wide open, but there's still a lot of good teams, and like we're still going to have to fight each and every day to try to get our spot into the NBA playoffs.
Yeah, and I will say I like Golden as well as a long-term option for you guys though too. Again, we talked about it before the show. We feel like Bam's going to be a lifer in Miami, but say something happens, something goes wrong, or maybe he decides he wants to figure things out elsewhere. I think Vladi Golden's going to be a great backup option for you guys, and him and Kel Ware could be, I think, a good like Twin Towers kind of duo. And they both, I think, their skill sets complement each other. One is really good, I think, where the other kind of lacks. Like you said, Kel's a bit more of that rim running, athletic big, whereas Vladi's going to be more of that, traditional back to the basket post big. And I think they'll complement each other really well. Again, if things do happen with Bam, you guys decide to do go a little bit younger. I think the future for you guys is good. And like you said, I'm just going to call him KJ or Casper. I like the fit too. I've been warming on a little bit more since draft night. Again, you get a big guard that can do a lot of different things. That's a good building block for the perimeter for sure. Like you said, he just has got to work on his scoring at the next level. And I think if he can really learn and develop an outside shot, he could be a 15 to 20 point scorer. And again, guy that gives you that shooting with 5 boards, 5 assists, can't really ask for much more out of a number 20 pick.
Yeah, with the whole Bam stuff about him maybe leaving it in the future. So I really feel like, because I saw the exit interview of Pat Riley when we lost in the first round. It was like the next weekend. Uh, he had that exit interview, and they were asking him a lot of questions when it comes to off season and what Bam said about what they're going to do in the off season, this and that, right? He had explained that when the 2010 or 2011 free agency came around, when Braun, Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh are all free agents. When it led up to that year, the 3 years before that, they had made a plan into trying to open up so much money to bring in a big star, right?
Mhm.
And I feel like that is what Pat Riley is trying to do now with next season. Because next season we're gonna have so much cap room and so much money to spend on a player that if they do want to come to South Beach, we can sign. So I feel like that's the move on where we're going. I feel like he's told that to Bam. Hopefully he's told that to Bam. He's told that to Hero, and he's told that to other guys. Because if you haven't noticed in the last 2, 3 years, even 4 years, we haven't really signed anybody in free agency. So we
Mhm.
have been saving up money, and we haven't been giving out contract extensions like that, except to Bam and Hero.
Yeah.
So I feel like we're gonna have a lot of money when it comes to next season, next off season. So hopefully we can catch a big fish. Obviously, as a Heat fan, we have been very disappointed in the last 5 years when it comes to trying to grab another big fish to pair up next to Jimmy, Bam, Hero, etc.
Yeah.
But hopefully, hopefully it's been such a time saving move that they've been waiting for the 2026 NBA offseason to really catch a big fish.
Yeah. And I was gonna say though too, one other I was gonna say maybe jumping before we go on from basketball. So one thing I wanted to highlight, a team that I feel like we didn't really touch on as much because obviously, the big moves that were our teams, Steve's with Dallas. Underrated UDFA signing for them, Ryan Nemhard, point guard out of like I think Marquette, I
Uh huh.
believe. Dude's like a walking double double with points and assists, and he spreads the floor really well. Like that's going to be an underrated pick, especially in that rotation with Flag, especially as Kyrie gets older. That's going to be a guy to watch out for. But a team I really wanted to highlight was San Antonio Spurs. You know, obviously you got Wemby, you've got De'Aaron Fox, you've got the reigning rookie of the year in Stephon Castle, but
Hmm.
their draft, I thought they did a really great job of adding more pieces to that starting lineup while also having players that complement each other really well. Dylan Harper, obviously point guard out of Rutgers. I think that's going to be a great backcourt with him and Castle. And obviously too, you got De'Aaron Fox in there as well. But those two moving forward, you could see he's not going to be under a lot of pressure to succeed right away. But again, I could see where you have Stefan and him. You've got Carter Bryant out of Arizona. That's going to be a great fit at the 4. I think if they want to move Wemby to the 5, great athlete, great rim runner, great transition threat. And I really like the fact that you've got two young impact players at that point in the draft. And then again, you add that to the two reigning rookies of the year. It's like the rich get richer in terms of youth, and it's not gonna they're not gonna be fair in about 3, 4, 5 years or so.
Yeah, no, I like the move for the Spurs, and like how we alluded to it in the beginning of the episode, it's all about 6, 7, 8 guys that you have around to get you
You know?
to the promised land. It's
Mhm.
not big two, big three, big four no more. No, you got to have the big eight, and you saw it with OKC, you saw it with Indiana. Reasons why they got to the NBA Finals, reasons why it went to Game 7. It was such a good back and forth. It's because they have 6, 7, 8 guys that can actually defend, pass the ball, score, rebound, all of what you need as a basketball player. And that's what San Antonio is looking at now. They got Dylan Harper, they got Castle, they got Fox, they got Victor Wembanyama, they got some other players and some other assets
Cam
as well
Jones
too.
in the second round too.
You know what I'm saying? Like they
Yeah.
they they know what they're doing. They're stacking up because that's what they need to do. You need 6, 7,
Yep.
8 guys that are gonna compete each and every night to get you to where you want to.
Yep. And this core honestly looks a lot like that core from the late '90s and early 2000s that carried them into the next couple decades. So again, it's like from late '90s to 2020 is the San Antonio Spurs are going to be back, and they could potentially win titles this decade, multiple titles this decade, and it just doesn't seem fair at this point.
Hey,
Small market though.
sometimes you got to go on a crazy losing streak to start a big winning streak. So
Yeah, but
shout out
I
to
love
them,
it.
man. I like the pick.
Yeah, it's a small market team too, so I'm all about sticking it to the LAs and the Bostons and the New Yorks of the world. So
Mhm.
let's
Yeah,
do it.
for sure. Yeah. So love the NBA, man. We're now in the off season. Free agency will start July 1st, I believe it was somewhere in July.
Yeah.
So we're gonna see a lot of transactions happen this summer. I would say a lot of trades, in my opinion. So there's a lot of NBA stuff, but for now, we're just gonna table that. We're gonna move on to the diamond to MLB. We're gonna do Brandon's bullpen because we haven't
Of
done this in a while, and
course,
we
one
haven't
of the
talked about
years
baseball.
seems like.
We haven't talked about baseball in a while, man. It's been
Mhm.
a little hot minute since we talk about baseball, and there's several things going on that Brandon wants to talk about, and then one that we're gonna bring up a little controversy going on with a fan that we'll talk about at the end. But Brandon, let these people know exactly what's hot right now. MLB. I know you want to talk about your Rays. I know you want to talk about some other players and what some other teams that are showing some excitement around the league.
Well, I will say before I get to all of that, I'll give you guys a quick little update on the season for those that might find the sport of baseball a little bit too long of a track to get through. I will summarize the season up to this point. We're just about a week or two before All Star break, the mid-season of, so to say, the Midsummer Classic. The American League, starting with the AL East. Our division, so to say, G Mike with your Yankees and my Rays, kind of battling for the
Mhm.
top spot. Yankees do sit atop right now the division, but the Rays are right behind them, just 1.5 games out. And then you've got moving over to the AL Central. Detroit Tigers running away with the division, best record in the AL, 50 wins, first team I believe in the majors to reach that mark. And then out west, you got the Houston Astros on a bit of a 8 game win, or well, I was gonna say 8-2 in the last 10 games. They're sitting pretty with 49 wins, so they're right there at that precipice. But well, I actually gotta do my due justice for the National League as well. None of our teams really go out there. It's a bit of a snore fest.
Oh, I like the Marlins, but that's just a hometown thing.
Oh man, dude, they're about sitting 12 back in the East, so
Uh,
it's a tough season for them.
they're on a winning streak last week though.
They're seven
Something
and
like that.
three, 7-3 last
Yeah,
10. So good for them. Good for
yeah.
them. And I will say they're pretty much the only team that is above 500 the last 10 games in that division. So, but it's basically a two-horse race for the top. You got Philly and New York separated by just a half game. The Central, it's pretty much the Cubbies and the Brewer, or pretty much well, it's three-way battle rather. Cubs, Brewers, and Cards, all within 4 games of each other for the top spot. And then out west, surprise, surprise, LA Dodgers, richest team in the majors, best team or best record in the majors right now, 52-31. No one really didn't expect to see that coming.
Back to back.
But What's up?
Back to back.
I don't know, man. We got to see how good the teams play in the postseason. Tigers, honestly, it would be interesting to see them make it back in a World Series. They've been playing really great team baseball. Obviously, I work with the minor league team and also to the spring training doing the announcing for them. So I got to see a lot of these guys there. They look legit, dude. You're getting your boy Gleyber Torres from the Yankees. That was, I think, a really good signing for them. He's balled out. Javier Baez, Cubs legend. Javier Baez, former Gold Glover, Silver Slugger at short, kind of flamed out a little bit. Got paid big contract by the Tigers. A lot of people thought it was a scam. He started shifting around now in center field. Kind of found his spot in the outfield. He's balling out. So Tigers are, I think, it'd be a team to watch out for. But of course, I would be remiss if I didn't talk about the Tampa Bay Rays, the team without a home. Tropicana Field getting destroyed by Hurricane Milton. The team ownership group all being in flux and everything right now. We don't know what's going to happen necessarily with selling the team, if the team's going to stay in Tampa, St. Pete, wherever they're going to go. Orlando's wanting them. And yet they still find a way to win ball games. They are 1.5 games out of the AL East title right now. Fresh off a 28 or 22-8 trouncing by Baltimore, though. That was not fun yesterday. But I do find it interesting, G Mike. The
What was the
fact
score?
that
What was the score? Because I'm looking at it right now, but if you don't say it, I'm gonna say it.
I was you know 22-8.
Yikes!
It's all right.
It's like
It
a football
happens.
game. It's like a football game.
Oh, I know, but it's bound to happen every once in a while. That's what happens when you have a lot of young pitching, a lot of young players. It's gonna happen. Um, but again, I do find it interesting, this dynamic right now in the AL East. That's like the one I'm going to sit on probably the most. Is that again, Yankees being a top, we were kind of all expecting that at the beginning of the season, but and I thought for sure the Rays were going to be like bottom two and for sure. But to not only be 1.5 games out from taking the division crown from the Yankees, but also doing it in their home spring training ballpark, that just I love it. And the fact that we could have MLB playoff baseball at a minor league stadium, that it's just it's the best thing in the world to me. I don't know. I can't explain it other than it's just the sheer memery and absurdity of it all. But I love it.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, what do you think as somebody that's maybe that doesn't keep up with the sport as much? What if you, for example, like let's say let's say the Bucks were without Raymond James Stadium for a year, so they had to play in, let's say, like USF's supposedly new stadium that seats like half the crowd. Like, or let's say, like, you're playing basketball, like the Magic moved to UCF's arena to play for you. Like, imagine, like, what is that for you as an outsider? You're seeing like major playoff games being played in a minor league stadium. What do you think about that?
What are the ticket prices?
Well, right now, I think tickets are usually going for they're a little bit more expensive just because there's less seating. I believe most of them are going for about 40 or 50. So still not nowhere near the way they used to be. Like I think they like last year, I think you could get a ticket for about 15 to 20. But it's still like it's not the most expensive tickets out there.
Okay. So I would say if they're basically the same ticket price or just a little bit more of a discount because you're not playing at your normal stadium, you're playing somewhere else. So people got to do a different kind of commute. Some people plan their days of just like, oh, this is how long it's going to take me to get there. And we're going to whatever, do whatever tailgate maybe, or maybe we got to do something before or whatever. It's a different commute, right?
Yeah.
Maybe it's a little further from where they usually go or whatever the case may be. But there's a lot of variables when it comes to them playing at a different stadium than the regular fans who have season tickets or just don't have season tickets, but they do go every year and go to a couple games and whatever. And they're used to driving to a certain stadium. They're used to sitting at certain seats. They're used to going to the same concession stands and stuff like that. Now there's a lot of different variables when it comes to it. So I think, it's a little bit more exciting in a sense of like we're playing in a different atmosphere. Maybe it could be a positive thing or it could
Yep.
be a negative thing, right? But I
Yep.
think if they would give discounted tickets because they're not playing at the same stadium, I think it would be better, right? They attract more fans to come to the games. Maybe you get a new energy going throughout the dugout, throughout the stands, and stuff like that. So I think I would be, as a fan, if I was a Tampa Bay Rays fan and they're playing at another stadium, that they would give discounted tickets because they're not playing at their home stadium. I think I would, as a fan, be excited, and I think I would go to more games. In my
Yeah. Well, and I will say though too, because it's reduced seating capacity and everything. Like obviously, they're far and away towards the bottom of the league in terms of um, total attendance. They've only been averaging just under 10,000, but the stadium itself seats about 10,000. So you're looking at a capacity that on a nightly basis, like if you're averaging just under 10 grand, but your attendance is at 90%, like that's honestly, that's great numbers to have.
yeah,
Obviously, when you stretch that over the course of a long season, and also too, you add on to bigger capacity, it's going to be tougher to pull that off. But it is promising that there are still people that are coming out to these games that are being invested in. And as somebody that's worked the games, it is nice to have outside baseball in the state. Now, granted, on the nights, it's a lot better than work. Night games are so much better than day games. Being out middle of like 90, 95 degree weather with the humidity turned up and the sun's just torching you, it's rough.
yeah.
So it is something that whenever they do decide when they're figuring out the new stadium, there's been talks of, do we just kind of go with the similar setup of just like the tarp dome? Do we do a kind of like a glass or a clear structure, kind of like maybe what the Brewers have at their ballpark? That does pose the question: how do you try to factor in the beauty of a nice Florida evening when it's not raining, with the ability to still play if the conditions aren't great, and also to add in giving the fans that comfort level of, yeah, it might be 95 degrees outside and it's humid, but on the inside, like for those day games, but inside it's nice and like 72 degrees. So it's a
That that's
daunting
what
task
I
for sure.
that's what I like about the Marlins Stadium, though, because they do
Mhm.
that, right? They have it's a dome, but it opens up. So when it's a beautiful night or a beautiful day, they have it open. The sun is shining. Yeah, it is hot in South Florida for sure. But some people love it. Some people like to embrace it. And then when it's raining, they'll close it up, and it'll be like you're inside a dome and stuff like that. So that's what I really like about the stadium. Now, the thing that I don't like about it is that the seats are never filled. I mean, as a local, and you like watching baseball, you're not gonna like watching Marlins baseball because we suck. But
Yep.
if you like, there's a lot of Philly fans, there's a lot of New York fans, Mets and Yankees that live out in South Florida. So when you go to a game, you could buy a ticket at the top of where people sit, which are like $2.
Hmm.
And since it's so empty, you just walk all the way down and you sit in the bottom seats. Like
Yep.
I've seen people do that. I've done that actually. Obviously, it's not a good thing to do, but hey, if we're being honest here,
Yep.
uh, but yeah, you will want to see the seats filled a little bit more. But when it comes to the stadium itself, it's a beautiful stadium, and they do that what you just mentioned. They'll have it
Yeah.
open on the beautiful days or beautiful nights, and then when it's raining or bad weather, they'll close it up, and it's just a dome.
Yeah, and that's just what you got to figure out as being a Central Florida team. It's going to be raining. There's going to be inclement weather, a lot, especially over the summer months, and you just got to plan around that. But yeah, fortunately, the Rays have been able to do that a little bit. They've been figuring out ways, like, first rain delay in team history. Got a little commemorative poncho. I'll go ahead and pull that out real quick. Why not? This is going to go on eBay in about a few years anyway. So you got that. First
Ah,
one in team history. Maybe get a
those are
signed
the
one of these
cheap ones,
days.
dude. Those are the cheap ones.
Oh, I know for sure. But in like 30 years, dude, just the packaging alone, I'm gonna be that
Right.
old man. "Hey, I'm gonna sell it on eBay. I'm gonna make $5 million on it, sir. It's
You
worth
guys
five.
need a poncho.
Yep,
Need a poncho.
$5 million here. First poncho or first grain delay in race history, sir. The best I can do is $5. So,
Fuck it. I'll take the five.
but But yeah, I mean, aside from attendance numbers and surprising team success for the Rays, there have been some notable standouts this year. I'll pick one from the Rays, and then also one from kind of outside the team. I find some of these little quirky stories. Baseball has a lot of quirky stories, which I enjoy. Um,
They
but
need that. They
looking
need
at
the entertainment.
What's up?
But they need that. They need the entertainment. They need those stories to come out because
Yeah.
I'm sorry, man, but I, for me to watch a baseball game on TV, bro, it has to be that my phone is dead. I'm at a freaking doctor's appointment waiting in the lobby to get
Yeah.
checked in, and it's there on the TV, and I'll watch it. But other than
Yep.
that, bro, like I like going to the games in person. I think they're fun, and a lot of baseball stadiums they have great food. The atmosphere is pretty dope as well. It's not like football or basketball games for me, but I feel like it's way better in person than it is watching it on TV. Like they just need another form, another element of entertainment when it comes to trying to get it televised and people actually watch it.
Yep. I agree. And there's been some entertainment for sure going on in baseball this year. We're looking at some of the season leaders right now. Couple notes for home runs. The home run leader right now for all of baseball, Cal Raleigh. He's a catcher for the Seattle Mariners. Catcher, I find it interesting because most of your home run leaders, you think, oh yeah, Shohei Ohtani, Aaron Judge, guys like that. But for a guy to be leading the league in home runs and he's a catcher, that's usually not a position that's associated with offense a whole lot. Again, you have your exceptions, your Mike Piazzas, your Salvador Perez's, but what Cal Raleigh is doing this year for that position is very special. Like you're looking at the most home runs by a catcher in MLB history. You start going on a list recent years, like 2021, Mike Zunino for the Rays, former Ray, former Mariner, 33. He is approaching that. And Cal Raleigh last year, 34. He is already at that mark at the halfway point in the season. You're talking about a guy that for the position is probably going to obliterate the record, could get 50, maybe even 60 home runs by season's end. And again, catchers the past few years have just been known for pitch framing. They've been known for defense, their arm, not really for their bat. So for me, I found that really interesting, like a position that is not known for producing a lot of power that's hitting a lot of bombs. The best way I could put it is like a Nikola Jokic type of player who, for the center, you'd expect him to get a lot of blocks and him to do a lot of this or that. No, he's leading the league in assists, or a quarterback like Lamar Jackson leading the league in rushing yards. You just don't really expect it that much. So it was just a pretty interesting thing to see. And then speaking of guys who are making an impact in terms of with their legs, Chandler Simpson for the Tampa Bay Rays. I am probably overly a big fan of his. Um, but again, he's ninth in the league in stolen bases and tied for ninth. And the league leader in stolen bases right now, Jose Caballero for the Rays, 29. He's played 67 games. Chandler Simpson has played half of that, 39 games, and he's about to catch the league leaders in stolen bases. That man can steal four or
Dog,
five in a game without even flinching.
dog.
So when I say this dude's like the second coming of like Ricky Henderson, I mean that 100%. Like, dude is if he can keep this roster spot in Tampa for the course of the season, for the rest of the year, he's gonna lap the team or lap the league in stolen bases. So that's I'd say those two guys again, Chandler Simpson, Cal Raleigh. I'm fascinated by it, but Chandler Simpson is going to be the stolen base leader for this year if he stays healthy for sure. Can't do much else, but he can steal bases.
Hey, if you're great at one thing, might as well be perfect at it.
Oh yeah.
Strive for excellence, baby.
Oh yeah.
Um,
He's just got to figure everything else out.
Before we move on to our down bad debate, our last topic of the
Yeah,
episode,
man.
I wanted to talk about this that I saw that it came up a few days ago, or if not last week. I'm pretty sure it was just a few days ago. But Arizona Diamondbacks second baseman Ketel Marte, if I said that correctly,
Yep.
said a fan in Chicago brought him to tears during a game against the White Sox this week. Shouted that he messaged his late mother the previous night. So if you guys don't know, this gentleman's mother passed away during a seventh inning at bat in Arizona's 4-1 win over Chicago on Tuesday night. No, that's when he yelled the derogatory stuff. When his mother passed away in a car accident in the Dominican Republic in 2017, he said he used to be being taught, but he had never been heckled about his mom. So what
Yeah.
happened was a fan heckled about his mom, and the fan said, last night I sent your mother a message.
Yeah.
So the guy's mom passed away in 2017 in a car accident. If you're a baseball fan, you would know this, and I feel like a lot of fans that actually go to games do know this, and especially this fan saying that specific thing, saying, "Last night I sent your mother a message."
Yep.
Um, he said this quote: "We have to do something about the fans. They're going too far. They've always shot things about me, but not about my mother. Everybody knows that my mother died in an accident and nothing. We're praying for him, for the guy who shot it and his family. You know, may God protect him. May God protect him and cleanse his heart. They've always shouted things at me, but I don't pay attention. But when they talk about my mother, it's a different story." So
Yeah.
Martell started crying during the game because of this, and we all got moms out there as
Yeah.
sons and daughters. We're all very overly protective. Before BC goes, I just want to say, like, we can't have this just in civilization, not even just in sports, bro. Like, someone's family member passed away and you're taunting them about it during a sporting event where it's supposed to be for family and friends to have a good time. Yes, if you're an opposing team fan and you don't want the other team to win, for sure, you want them to lose, right? And you say some things to get into the head, but when it comes to personal stuff like this, it shouldn't be said, man. It
Yeah.
shouldn't be said. And in my opinion, I've grown up in South Florida and Miami where you say one thing, you get your ass beat. And honestly, I feel like that guy should have gotten his ass beat by anybody there in the crowd. I don't care if you're a fan of the team that's winning or for the team that the guy plays for. I don't think that stuff like that should be said. I think if you say something like that, you should get your ass beat, in my opinion. And it's not cool. Again, we all have mothers out there. We're sons and daughters, and we can't be out here being disrespectful like that, man. Like,
Yeah.
it's really sad to see that we're living in a world like that. Like, I'm into online gaming. We do say a lot of crazy stuff to each other, but at the end of the day, if I knew that someone lost a family member like that, and I would say some joke about it, I honestly would look at myself in the mirror each and every day and be like, why the fuck did I say that shit? Sorry for the language, but it's
Yeah.
true. Like, we can't be saying stuff like that about people's families, especially about their parents, their siblings, their grandparents, or even their kids.
Yeah.
Like, it's just not a place for it. And this guy, in my opinion, for saying some dumb stuff like that, I really think he should get his ass beat. And if you think that he should be kicked out of the stadium and he can't go to any more games, hey, more power to you.
Yeah. It's upsetting. And as somebody who's dealt with the loss of a parent recently, dude, like the grief that you are feeling, like it's only been, gosh, it's only been about 4 months since I lost my dad, and like the grief I feel, it's difficult enough to deal with. I can't imagine over the course of time. And for anybody that says, "Oh, well, it gets better over time," it still hurts. It's still
100%.
even, and
Never
I
heal.
believe yeah, and I believe his mom passed away in 2017, if I'm not mistaken. So
Which is still recent too. That's
I
not
know, and
no.
that's
Like,
the thing. Some people will say, "Oh, well, it's been 8 years." Like, no, it doesn't matter. That grief,
yeah, it doesn't
that
matter.
yeah,
Especially
if
if that's
you
your best friend. Like,
yeah,
some people
that's
are
that.
close with their parents like
Exactly, and that's the
that.
thing. Like you grieve, like obviously reading. I've been reading some books on grief and everything, and it's just you grieve because you love them, and if it still affects him this much to this day, he had a close relationship with his mother, and that doesn't just go away with time. It doesn't just get erased with, oh, I'm sorry, like, and obviously forgiveness. I mean, we can talk about that, but as somebody that you don't know this person, you don't know a thing about them. If you want to heckle them for how they play on the field, like the one dude, like, oh man,
100%, 100%. You could do that.
I
100%.
heard you
Oh,
swing with both eyes closed, you bum. Like,
exactly. Yeah,
yeah,
like,
if you want to do that, that's fine. He can defend himself on at the plate. He can defend himself with his play on the field. His mom, his family, they're not there to defend themselves. You have no right as a fan. I don't care if you're saying, oh, well, it's just part of the game. No, it's not. It shouldn't be a part of the game. You want to talk about a player's performance to get in their head? Fine, go
mm,
for it. Not their family. And even this, and also too, like this also can go to I was gonna say researching this as well, like other attempt with fans getting out of control. Jaren Durant from the Boston Red Sox. He was being heckled by a player or by a fan about a suicide attempt he had back in 2022. Someone bringing up stuff like a fan heckling him over that. Like, I'm sorry, but you do not cross that line. Like, even if it's personal, somebody say, "Well, it's just to him; he can defend himself." Like, okay, again, you don't take people's personal lives into it. You want to talk about their play, you want to talk about how they're doing on the field, fine, but do not bring up stuff like that because that was a dark time in his life. He's talked about, and it was pretty recent that he talked about it. So it's a dark time in his life, and he's just now comfortable revealing it. Like, you don't get to do that as a fan. I understand we're here to have fun, and you want to win a game. That's not fun. That's not trying to win a game. And if you see that as if you see either of those things as one of those two things, fun or I'm doing it to win a game, you've got some problems with you, and you need to do some soul searching there. Like that's
No,
the
you
entire
need to get your ass beat. In my
yeah
opinion, you need to get your ass beat.
the
You have not
entitlement that
gotten beat, so that's why you be saying stuff like that for sure.
yeah the
The people that
entitlement
get the people that get into fights because of stuff that are said like that, I
yep
promise you, I
yep
promise you, I would put $1,000 on it that they will not say something disrespectful just like that ever again because they got
yep
their ass whooped. In
yeah
my opinion,
and it's just the entitlement that a lot of fans have. You go to those games and you know, you're not there. It's not about you. It's not about what you do. It's about the players. It's about the team. You're not there. This game, the show does not revolve around you and what you're doing. But we also see a lot of times too nowadays. Again, we talk about player empowerment in the NBA. Now there's fan empowerment a lot too, where people have access to social media. They want to go viral. They want to be famous. They want their 15 minutes of fame. So I'm going to say that I'm going to talk about this dude's mom, or I'm going to talk about this dude's suicide attempt. Look at me. And it's like, congratulations, you just outed yourself to everybody at this ballpark, to everybody on social media. And for what? A few minutes of clickbait fame? What are we doing? What are we doing?
sucks, man. It sucks that
It,
we really have to talk about this and remind
yeah.
people to be respectful to each other and be kind, man.
Yeah.
It really sucks.
Be respectful to the players and also to be respectful of opposing fans, be respectful of the people that work the games because I've also had my fair share as well of I'm telling you, I've had my fair share of people that have cursed me out just because I couldn't put them on because they're opposing teams and I work for the home team's camera crew. Like, y'all got to understand these games, these athletes, this whole
We
thing.
get paid for a certain reason. We get paid for a
Yeah,
certain job.
yeah,
Like,
and it does not revolve
let
around
them
you.
curse you out, though, bro. Let them curse you
Oh yeah,
out. But
no, I
when
do,
it
and I
comes to
just
like personal stuff, like saying like something about like your family or just attacking you personally, like that's not cool, bro. But if they want to
yeah.
curse you out, oh f you, f this, oh you should have put me on screen. I'll just laugh. I laughed.
Oh, I do, but then I also let security know, and then it's just like, you guys have fun with that one. But it's just it's one of those things where it's like again, fans are just they're way too entitled. You just need to go there, enjoy the game, and don't. There's a line. Don't cross it. It shouldn't be that hard.
Facts. Facts. Well, it sucks to really try to move on from that
Yeah,
specific topic, but we're gonna do it here on Views
absolutely.
from the Stands. We're gonna move on to our down bad debate, and we got a good one this week. NFL cornerbacks. We got one has to go, and who you cutting, BC? We got Darrell Revis of the New York Jets, and obviously we're doing this at their primes. We got
Yep.
Champ Bailey of the Denver Broncos. We got Charles Woodson of the Oakland Raiders before it was Las Vegas. And we
Yep.
got Patrick Peterson of the Arizona Cardinals. BC, obviously, you're going to go first because I just brought up the topic. Who
Yep.
are you cutting on this
This is not an easy one for me to do at all.
one? Facts.
And
Facts.
I mean, you've got some of the greatest cornerbacks of all time. Although I will say my pick, it's not made for this particular reason, but I do find it funny that one of these guys is not like the others. If you look at the jerseys there, and that's going to be my pick for who I'm unfortunately going to have to kick off the island, so to say, Revis on. No, I'm obviously going to keep Darrell Revis. I'm going to keep Champ Bailey. I'm going to keep Charles Woodson. The guy I'm dropping is Patrick Peterson. That's not a slight against him. And again, I love the versatility that he brought. He wasn't just a great Wasn't just a great cover corner. He was also a really great special teamer too. Could return kicks and punts. But I just think in terms of if we're bringing on somebody to be our specific cornerback, like if you're wanting the best lockdown guys on the team, I'm gonna have to drop Patrick Peterson. Unfortunately, the only guy that's not wearing 24 on this picture. Um, so I think that when it comes to locking it down, Champ Bailey I think doesn't get enough credit. He's a guy though I think was very underrated from the 90s and the 2000s. Could shut down anybody. Was a big part of I think the I think he was just a big part of those Broncos teams, especially when John Lynch came over there from Tampa. Very underrated squad for sure. Charles Woodson, we already know who he is. Former cover athlete, former Heisman winner. Oakland Raiders, Green Bay Packers, dominant in every single aspect from the 2000s as well. And then we're looking at a guy that was sheer dominance from the 2010s, Revis Island. Again, kicking him off. Dude didn't get a lot of interceptions. We saw Champ Bailey, we saw Charles Woodson get a lot of double-digit interception seasons. We didn't get a lot of that from Darrelle Revis, but that's because you weren't wanting to throw to him. If you did, you weren't catching. Nobody targeted any wide receiver. And for me, that's what makes him, I think, the greatest of the group, because other quarterbacks, these other guys, teams would still take a chance to target him. You did not even look in that area wherever Revis was at on the field. You're like, nope, moving on. So, but it's with a heavy heart. I love defense and I love shutdown corners, but I gotta knock Patrick Peterson. I just think in terms of a tier list, he's just that slightly below the group, and it's not a knock on him, but we're nitpicking here.
Nah, yeah, I gotta agree for sure. I gotta get rid of Patrick Peterson, and he was all time great for sure. But I think when it comes to these other three, Darrelle Revis, like you said, 2010s, this guy was stopping everybody, and especially Randy Moss that he was in this division. Even Randy Moss, I said sometimes when he played against Revis, is like, yo, I didn't even want the ball thrown to me because I thought I was gonna get intercepted of how
Yep.
great this man was. Champ Bailey, he played more than 15 seasons, and every single season he was great out there for the Denver Broncos. It was like even in that Super Bowl run, in that last run that he had at the end, he was still playing great. And he was like, what, hitting 36, 35 or something like that. So super old when it comes to a corner. I think the
Yep.
best one out of the group for me is Charles Woodson. He was the first player coming out of college to play both sides of the ball before Travis Hunter. He was great on that. He won a Heisman because of it. When he got to the NFL, he didn't play both sides, but he could have. I think he played
Mhm.
some plays, a few plays in the NFL on offense, but it was primarily, obviously, corner or safety. He was just a great defensive back. He could great when it comes to IQ. He could read an offense better than anybody out there. So, in my opinion, I got to take away Patrick Peterson here, even though he was a great shutdown corner as well.
Yep. And and I will say though too, Charles Woodson, one of only two defensive backs, or one of only two cornerbacks in NFL history with 20 sacks, 20 picks, or 20-40 rather. The only other guy, Rondé Barber. So elite
Nasty.
company right there. And that's again versatility, longevity. Champ Bailey and Charles Woodson were masters of that. And then I would say probably in terms of you're looking at peak, that's where I would give it to Darrell. But again, longevity, those other, Champ and Charles, you got to give it to them. But yeah, again, this is a tough one. I love
Yeah,
listening
it
to this. So,
was.
and
It
as we
was.
get closer to the NFL season, though, too, if you guys want us to get more of these down bad debates, more football themed, let us know. If there's one in particular that you guys like, hey, we've been wanting this one for a long time, or I've been seeing this one for a long time, hit us up. Put it in the comments. Like, send us links to it. We'd love to get that graphic made, get it going, and we'll talk about it.
Yep. Yep. Well, guys, it's another episode in the wraps. Please do not forget to like, subscribe, and share the show with your family and friends. Follow us on our social media accounts: TikTok, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Spotify. You can catch the audio version of the episode there, or even the video version is there as well. We really appreciate you guys for supporting and loving and caring for the show. Again, share with your family and friends. You guys can follow me on either one of my social media accounts. BC, you got anything for them, man?
I was gonna say you guys can follow me as well for the journey, see what it's like been working in the industry since 2017. bcthebrand.com, and also you can find me on Instagram, bcthebrandmedia. Same thing on Facebook. tag along. If you guys know anybody that wants some voice work or need some camera work, come hit us up, man. You know what's up? And again, anybody out there though too, you go to a game, just know it ain't about you. It's about the people on the field. That's what it's about.
Mm-hmm.
Be
So we'll catch you guys. We'll catch you guys next week, baby.
Peace.
Peace.